Ever since Ghost of Tsushima's release back in 2020, fans have been eagerly awaiting Sucker Punch's next title. Well, it's not Ghost of Tsushima 2, it's Ghost of Yōtei, and here are 7 things you need to know about the official reveal. Ghost of Yōtei is set to drop sometime in 2025, though we're still in the dark on the exact release date. Of course, 2025 is already shaping up to be a jam-packed year for gaming. In February alone, we've got Assassin's Creed Shadows, Avowed, Like a Dragon, and Monster Hunter Wilds all fighting for our attention. Ghost of Yōtei is such a highly anticipated title, though, it's certain to make waves no matter when it launches. What's really exciting is this will be Sucker Punch's first game built from the ground up for the PS5. Sure, we got the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut with the awesome and underappreciated Iki Island expansion, but that was still essentially a PS4 game at its core. While Ghost of Yōtei definitely looks like a step up graphically, especially in terms of character models and the environmental details, it's great to see they're sticking with the same overall style of the first game. After all, it's still one of the most drop-dead gorgeous games on any system. And of course, the PC release looks absolutely phenomenal. Taking this approach with a similar style is smart, as it keeps the franchise's identity intact while leaving plenty of room to showcase the power of PS5, and certainly PS5 Pro as well. Ghost of Yōtei catapults us 300 years into the future from its predecessor, landing in 1603. But that's not the only big leap. We're swapping the island of Tsushima for the wild frontier of Yezo, a vast region in northern Japan we now call Hokkaido. Centered around the majestic Mount Yōtei, Yezo offers a diverse and challenging terrain that promises to test players in ways the first game never did, from frostbitten tundras that challenge survival skills to expansive grasslands. But here's where it gets really interesting. Yezo in 1603 was basically the Wild West of Japan. It was outside the shogun's formal control, which means law and order were more, let's say, flexible. This lawless vibe opens up a whole new world of gameplay possibilities. Imagine navigating through settlements with clashing factions that are vying for control, all in a world where the rules are still being written. And let's not forget the cultural melting pot we're stepping into. Yezo was the home to the Ainu people, and their unique culture could play a fascinating role in the game's narrative and aesthetics. We could see a blend of samurai traditions clashing with the Ainu customs. All in all, this time leap and location shift likely aren't just cosmetic changes. Sucker Punch is opening up a whole new sandbox of historical intrigue, cultural exploration, and untamed wilderness. Naturally, the shift in setting and time period brings about the biggest change of all: a new protagonist. This time, instead of Jin Sakai, we'll be stepping into the shoes of Atsu, a female warrior. We don't know much about her yet, but what's clear is players will have more control over her narrative choices compared to the previous game, which is always a welcome feature for me. Now, with Jin being such a beloved character, I think it's reasonable to ask why Sucker Punch would make such a big change. It's certainly a bold decision and has already generated a fair amount of, let's say, conversation online. If we keep the focus just on gaming though, there's no denying that some of the best sequels have introduced us to completely new protagonists. Red Dead Redemption 2, Alan Wake 2, and Nier Automata are 3 examples of this being done incredibly well. Those games gave us unique origin stories and fresh perspectives on past or future events. Not to mention, the Iki Island expansion provided some pretty strong closure for Jin, which I won't spoil here. They've also explained they're committed to evolving not just the story, but the gameplay as well. This means introducing a different playstyle and an entirely new arsenal, even including guns. Hence, the leap forward in time and the need for a new character. The core theme of the series remains the same: exploring the life of a wandering warrior in feudal Japan. This gives Sucker Punch the freedom to introduce fresh faces and original stories with each new installment. So while Sucker Punch isn't continuing Sakai's story, they're taking a bold leap with the sequel by diving deeper into the concept of the ghost. The idea of a new hero donning the ghost mask and forging their own legend honestly gets me really excited. It almost has that feeling of something like Avatar: The Last Airbender, with the actual spirit being reborn again in a different body. Or maybe it's more similar to Batman, with this idea of a symbol that's bigger than any one person, a beacon of hope that can be passed on. And when you think about it, this wouldn't be a huge stretch from Sucker Punch's roots with the Infamous series. They've always had a knack for superhero-style origin stories. Ghost of Tsushima was essentially that, a superhero origin tale set in feudal Japan. Now with the sequel, they're set to take it to the next level. It's like they're saying, okay, we've established the legend, now let's see how it evolves and inspires others. There's so much potential here, especially when you consider how it might intertwine with Atsu's own personal vendetta. Jin Sakai reluctantly embraced the ghost persona out of necessity. Perhaps Atsu will be at a similar crossroads. And how does she even learn about the ghost? Is she related to Jin? Are we talking about a family legacy here? Or is it more about the idea being passed down, regardless of blood ties? Is something actually happening on a spiritual level here, like The Last Airbender? Who knows, maybe there's a whole secret society of ghosts working in the shadows to protect Japan. This could open up possibilities for future games set in various historical periods, each with its own unique ghost tackling the challenges of their time. No matter which way they go about it, Sucker Punch has definitely set up a concept that's ripe for exploration, not just in terms of gameplay, but also in terms of storytelling and world building. They've essentially created a sandbox where they can play with the ideas of legacy, duty, and the cost of becoming a symbol. One of the most impressive aspects of Ghost of Yōtei is the attention to detail in bringing the world to life. It's clear the development team has gone the extra mile to capture the essence of nature, even recording authentic sounds in Japan's pristine Shiratoko National Park. Sucker Punch is clearly aiming for a new level of realism here with Ghost of Yōtei, and it's not just about the tech itself, but also what you choose to do with it. We're talking sweeping vistas that stretch on, dynamic skies with twinkling stars and shimmering auroras, and of course the grass and trees that all sway convincingly in the wind. Now, I'm all for this level of detail, but there's still part of me that hopes they don't sacrifice that unique art style from the first game. Tsushima had this gorgeous, almost painterly quality that really made it stand out. It'd be a shame to lose that in the pursuit of photorealism. The first trailer, though, it definitely gives me hope that they found the sweet spot between that realism and artistic flair. And of course, let's hope Ghost of Yōtei can pull all this off while still maintaining a buttery smooth frame rate like its predecessor. Ghost of Tsushima's open world was undoubtedly one of its crown jewels. While exploring the lush landscapes never lost its charm, some of the repetitive elements did start to wear thin over time. I mean, how many foxes can you follow to yet another headband before it starts to feel boring? The good news, the devs don't appear to be resting on their laurels. They've taken this feedback to heart and are set to shake things up in the sequel. Their goal is to strike a delicate balance between familiar and fresh, crafting an open world that keeps players on their toes. One of the most intriguing aspects of their approach is the emphasis on unpredictability. They're aiming to break away from the formulaic nature of many open world games, where players can often predict what's around every corner. Instead, they want to pepper the landscape with unique, memorable experiences that catch you off guard in the best way possible. But it's not just about the surprise, it's about tension as well. The dev team drew inspiration from an unlikely source: their location scouting trip to Shiratoko National Park. Nate Fox, one of the game's creative directors, shared a fascinating insight with the New York Times. Quote, "Being in this incredibly beautiful park with jagged cliffs and water, yet all the time being aware there were dangerous bears, was electrifying. We strive to bring that into the video game, that feeling of danger." This blend of beauty and peril could be a game changer for Ghost of Yōtei. Imagine exploring a breathtaking landscape, but with the constant awareness that danger could be lurking just beyond the next ridge. I mean, if you've played Red Dead, you don't forget that first encounter with a cougar. It's a recipe for a more engaging, adrenaline-pumping experience that keeps players invested in the world around them. Now, of course, as you're traversing through this world, you're gonna need a way to fight back. So let's talk about the combat, the heart and soul of any action game. Ghost of Tsushima set the bar sky high with its stance-based combat system, arguably one of the best we've seen in gaming for quite some time. It struck that sweet spot, easy to pick up, difficult to master, and jaw-droppingly cool to watch. The variety of stances, tools, and the extra goodies from the Iki Island expansion gave players a combat sandbox to play in. So how do you improve on something that was already so good? Sucker Punch may say it's simple. You fast forward 300 years and throw some gunpowder into the mix. Ghost of Yōtei is trading in the trusty bow and arrow for a matchlock musket, among other period-accurate 1600s firearms. And this is not just a cosmetic change. It's bound to shake up the entire combat rhythm. Imagine juggling between close-quarters sword fights and tactical long-range engagements. Sucker Punch isn't stopping there, though. Atsu will be dual-wielding katanas, as well as a kusarigama, a combination of sickle and chain that's as versatile as it is deadly. This all comes together to really open up a whole new world of combat possibilities. Picture chaining enemies, pulling them in for a devastating sword combo, or keeping them at bay while you line up the perfect musket shot. And that's not even getting to the potential wolf sidekick that the trailer hints at. This could be a game changer both in and out of combat. Imagine sending your wolf to distract enemies while you sneak around, or having it help you track targets across the vast Japanese landscape. It adds a layer of strategy and, let's be honest, an emotional connection that could elevate the entire experience. With these additions alone, Ghost of Yōtei is shaping up to be a radically different beast from its predecessor. The shift in time period isn't just window dressing, it's a fundamental change that affects everything from combat to exploration. And knowing Sucker Punch, this is probably just the tip of the iceberg. We can certainly expect a lot more from Ghost of Yōtei in the lead up to launch. Special thanks to From the Attic for assisting with the research and writing on this video, as well as our channel members, including our Tier 3 members Nerdy Dude, The Flash, Martin, and Dylan. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.